Yesterday, millions of people pulled a wooden chariot through the streets of Puri. They sang, they cried. Some of them had waited their entire lives for that moment. But here's the thing nobody in that crowd was talking about. What's inside that idol, the one riding at the top of that chariot, has never been seen by any human being alive today. Not the priests, not the government, not the archaeologists, who have tried for decades to find out. There is something hidden inside Lord Jagannath's wooden body. It has a name, the Brahmapadartha, the soul substance, the divine secret. And every 12 to 19 years, in the middle of the night, with the entire town of Puri blacked out, not a single lamp, not a single light, a blindfolded priest reaches inside the old idol and removes it with his bare hands. His hands are wrapped in thick cloth so he cannot feel what he touches. His eyes are covered so he cannot see what he holds. This has happened for centuries, and not one of those priests has ever told anyone what they found. Let's start at the beginning. Lord Jagannath's idol is made of wood, not stone, not metal, wood. Specifically, neem wood, called Daru Brahma, the prime soul enshrined in wood. And wood decays. Even the body of God, it turns out, is not immune to time. So when the idol begins to deteriorate, when the wood starts to rot and crack, God changes his body, just like we do. This ritual is called Nabakalebara. Naba, new. Kalebara, body. New embodiment, divine rebirth. It only happens when 2 Ashada months fall in the same Hindu calendar year, which is why the gap is irregular, sometimes 12 years, sometimes 19. It begins not in the temple, but in the forest. Priests called the Banajaga Yatra set out on foot to find the sacred neem trees that will become the new idols. But these are not ordinary trees. The tree must meet specific divine criteria. No birds' nests in its branches, no beehives, no markings from animals, no shadow of another tree falling on it. And it must bear certain sacred symbols on its trunk, natural markings, a conch, a chakra, a lotus. The priests don't find these trees by looking. They find them through dreams, through meditative visions, through signs that arrive in the night. When a tree reveals itself, it is worshipped on the spot. Flowers, incense, full puja, before a single axe is raised. The trees are then cut down with elaborate rituals and transported to Puri with the reverence usually reserved for a royal procession. Devotees line the roads. The wood is treated as if God himself is traveling. Once the Daru, the sacred log, reaches the temple, it enters a walled garden within the complex called Koili Vaikuntha. The gates close. No outsider enters. Inside, craftsmen from a single ancient hereditary family begin to carve the new idols. These are not ordinary carpenters. Their lineage has done this, only this, for generations. The carving takes 21 days. During those 21 days, the craftsmen do not leave the temple premises. They sleep inside. They eat only Mahaprasad, temple food. Outside the walls, priests chant Vedic hymns continuously, day and night, without stopping. When the carving is complete, the new idols are brought face to face with the old ones inside the inner sanctum. Old body, new body, standing before each other. And then, the town waits for the appointed night. The night of the new moon, Amavasya, the darkest night of the month. On that night, the order goes out across Puri. Every lamp is extinguished. Every light is switched off. Every shop, every home, every street. Total darkness. The entire town, blacked out. Because what happens next cannot be witnessed by human eyes. The priest who performs the transfer is called the Padamahapatra. He comes from the Daitapati family, descendants of the Sabaras, the tribal community, who were the very first worshippers of Jagannath. This family has held this rite for thousands of years. It cannot be passed to anyone else. On the appointed midnight, the chief Daitapati enters the inner sanctum alone. His eyes are blindfolded. His hands are wrapped in thick layers of cloth, all the way to the elbow. He cannot see. He cannot feel. He can only reach. He reaches into the chest cavity of the old idol, a hollow space carved specifically to hold the Brahmapadartha, and he removes it. Whatever he removes, he places immediately into the corresponding hollow in the new idol. The transfer takes minutes. In those minutes, according to the priests, the old idol dies, and the new idol comes alive. Outside, the town is completely silent. No drums, no chanting, no movement. Even the dogs of Puri, people say, do not bark on this night. When it is done, the priest emerges, the blindfold comes off. He never speaks of what he experienced. The cloth wrappings are removed and destroyed. The old idol is then carried out of the temple on a palanquin, like a body being carried to its funeral. It is brought to Koili Vaikuntha, the same garden where the new idol was born. And it is buried in the earth, not burned, buried. Because in Hindu tradition, those whose souls have transcended the cycle of ego and desire, saints, children, the divine, are returned to the earth, not given to fire. Jagannath is God. He does not burn. Funeral rites are observed for 10 days. On the 12th day, a feast. Mahaprasad distributed to thousands. The old body of God is mourned, and the new body is prepared for its first darshan. Now, the question you've been waiting for. What is the Brahmapadartha? The honest answer is, nobody outside that family knows, and the family isn't talking, not in centuries of being asked. But there are theories, 3 of them, each with serious weight behind it, and each one, if true, would rewrite how we understand what sits inside that chariot. Theory 1. The Brahmapadartha is the unburnt heart of Lord Krishna. When Krishna died, shot by an arrow from the hunter Jara, his body was cremated by Arjuna on the banks of the sea. But one part of his body did not burn. His heart, the heart of Krishna, still beating, according to some accounts, was placed in a wooden log and set adrift on the ocean. That log, the legend says, washed up on the shores of Puri, and King Indradyumna found it. This theory is the most widely believed among Vaishnavas. It would mean that what those priests carry, blindfolded, at midnight across the dark inner sanctum, is the literal beating heart of God, still warm, after thousands of years. Theory 2. The Brahmapadartha is a Salagrama, a sacred stone said to have fallen from the heavens into the Gomati River in Nepal. Salagrama stones are considered self-manifested forms of Vishnu. They require no consecration because they are already divine. They are already alive. This theory would explain why the transfer can be done without the priest seeing or feeling anything. A stone small enough to be passed from one hollow to another without registering its shape through thick cloth. Theory 3, and this one surprises people. Some historians believe the Brahmapadartha is a tooth of Gautama Buddha. Kalinga, the ancient name for Odisha, was once one of the most important Buddhist territories in India. A sacred tooth relic of the Buddha was kept there for centuries, before being moved to Sri Lanka. Some scholars argue that when Jagannath worship absorbed the older Buddhist traditions of the region, the sacred tooth was sealed inside the idol, and the origin story gradually shifted from Buddhist to Vaishnava over time. The idol's unusual, abstract, non-classical form, so unlike any standard Hindu deity, is cited as evidence of this tribal and Buddhist origin. 3 theories, all ancient, all documented, all taken seriously by historians, priests, and scholars. None confirmed, none ever likely to be, because the only people who know have taken a vow of silence that has held, without a single exception, for as long as anyone can trace. There is one other detail that doesn't get talked about enough. It is said that anyone who witnesses the Brahmapadartha, who sees it with uncovered eyes, dies. This is not metaphor. This is the stated belief of the Daitapati family and the temple authorities, which is why the blindfold exists, which is why the entire town goes dark, not as ritual theater, as protection. I want to leave you with something that I keep coming back to. In most religions, the sacred object, the relic, the artifact, is eventually displayed, eventually studied, eventually put behind glass in a museum somewhere. This one never has been. Thousands of years of invasions, of temple destruction, of colonial archaeology, of modern scientific pressure, and it has never once been examined. Not because it's been hidden, because the people who guard it simply refuse, and I think there's something worth sitting within that. In a world where everything gets explained, everything gets scanned and documented and uploaded, there is still one thing that belongs only to God. The chariot has gone back now. The festival is over. But somewhere in the inner sanctum of that temple in Puri, behind walls no camera has ever entered, something is waiting. Quiet, patient, secret, as it has been for 1,000 years.